Welcome to the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast. Hi, I'm David Manti with Cannabis Equipment News, and with me today are Ben and Vinnie Celani with High Life Farms. They're both the co-founders of an operation in both Michigan and California. How are you guys doing today?
Good, David. How you doing?
Before we get started, if you could give us a like, share, or even a positive review on Apple Podcasts, it'll really help us out. So, Vinnie, I'd like to start with you. Could you tell me a little bit about High Life Farms and how you got your start?
Yeah, we're a multi-state operator with operations in both California and Michigan, formerly Colorado. We had our first 280 leg grow there, where we got our feet wet, learned the business, and then at that point we were slowly transitioning to California and Michigan at that time. In California, we do cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, and in Michigan, we're vertically integrated there, so we do everything.
What brought you both into the business?
I think just like a love for cannabis in general. Me and Ben both grew up loving and respecting the plant and really looking to improve people's quality of life. So,
yeah. Is same for you, Ben?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we both grew up for a very passionate feeling for cannabis. I was working in the industry when I left college in 2015. So I just really got to work in cultivation in LA and in Denver. And that's where I really gained a lot of my knowledge for cultivation and love for the industry.
Okay. So at what point were you working in the industry when you guys realized like, no, we want to sort of set up our own shop?
I mean, it was very shortly after. I think we always knew that we wanted to set up our own shop, but it was just a matter of, like we just said, gaining the knowledge and really getting comfortable with the space. And just like Vinnie said, our time in Colorado very much helped us do that and prepare for what we're doing right now in California and Michigan.
So, Ben, you manage operations in Michigan, right? And Vinnie, you manage in California?
Yes.
So tell me, Ben, why don't we start with Michigan? What are operations like in Michigan?
Operations in Michigan are really focused around just everything. I mean, we're a flower producer, an edible producer. We do our High Life carts. We do solventless brands. So really just about everything out in Michigan is our main focus. We work with Wana and Kiva, and as well as doing our own High Life products. So really our mission out there is to spread our High Life Farms products out as much as we can and be very, very good partners to Kiva and Wana and produce their products out there.
Okay. Vinnie, how are things different in California?
In California, we also produce our contract manufacturing for Wana as well. So we do their entire gummy line, both quick onset and regular. But we're mostly cultivators out here in the desert. So we do a lot of white label brands for other people, as well as our own internal High Life brands.
Okay. How did the challenges sort of differ from a cultivation aspect between growing in Michigan and growing in California, the desert?
I would say off my top of my head, the environmental differences are the biggest. You're just dealing with different ambient temperatures and humidities outside, which cause different stress on the AC systems you're using. So you really have to choose correctly for which environment you're in, whether it be water cooled or air cooled. It's very important to choose.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you run into, Ben?
Just like Vinnie was talking about, the environment that you choose to grow in, whether it's Michigan or California, you need to make sure that you have the proper equipment spec'd out to handle the outside environment that's going to influence what's happening in your indoor rooms. So just choosing the right equipment and making sure you have the capabilities and your dehumidification and temperatures to correctly keep the set points that you want, because ultimately that's what it's going to grow the best cannabis.
So as you guys have grown as a company, what have been some of the missteps along the way? Where either maybe you brought in too much equipment or, what have been some of the challenges that you've encountered and how have you guys overcome them?
Wow, you could start anywhere.
I would say probably expanding too quickly was probably our biggest downfall in the beginning. I mean, all these projects kind of fell at the same time. We didn't really mean for that to happen. But as we were selling Colorado, we were both building the Michigan project and the California project at the same time. And I believe we broke ground a year later, right then at 420. Was our actual first sale for both those places.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah, you had mentioned, why did you sell operations in Colorado?
We sold it just because just a difference in relationships, and we were ready to move on from that already matured market. Just obviously, an already established market is hard to enter as a new cannabis owner. So we learned a lot out there. It was definitely a tough market to operate in, and we had better opportunities out in California and Michigan. So we decided to really, just like Vinny was talking about, focus our energy on what we had in front of us versus trying to fix what we had going on out there.
Okay. So tell me, go ahead, Vinny.
no, I was saying we were getting into California right when medical was switching to rec. So we acquired medical licenses and had to build and make sure everything was on time to switch over to
Yeah.
rec. So we really got a head start there.
And
as
kind
well.
of to Vinny's point too, I guess the opposite side of it, all these companies, there's a lot of cannabis companies that bite off more than they can chew right away. And we've definitely done that before. But it's definitely part of our model at this point to slowly but surely build out as we go along. I think one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a cannabis company is trying to open up everything at one time.
Yeah.
It's better to do it piece by piece and make sure everything's running the way it's supposed to be before you keep moving on.
So when you guys bit off more than you could chew, how did you guys make the right decisions and kind of come out on the other side of that?
A lot of trial and error, to be honest.
Yeah.
Seeing what works and what doesn't. I mean, when you find something that doesn't work, you'll know right away. I mean, you'll be there till midnight or 2 a.m. trying to fix problems and make sure ACs are firing right or irrigation's running right. I mean, there's very little room for error.
Well, and I think also too, there's like a lot of people don't want to accept the problems that they have in their cannabis companies. So I think no matter what, we all have our issues that we have to deal with. And it's just about really taking a step back, addressing what's happening and making a change rather than just riding out the problems that you do have.
So you talk about there's oversaturation in the Colorado market. Right now, there's an incredible demand in Michigan that, supply is unable to keep up with. Are you running into oversaturation issues in California as well?
Yeah, and it's more of a seasonal thing with oversaturation in California.
Okay.
We noticed for about like 7 months of the year, indoor flowers king, and the prices range from $1,800 to $2,500. But for those months that are in the off season, all the outdoor product comes down. I mean, your price fluctuates in between $1,000 to $1,500. So I mean, it's just knowing the seasons and how to properly plan and make sure your cash flows keep flowing normally.
As I've talked to people, there's a difference between like the oversaturated markets and markets like Michigan so how do you create a product where basically they can't keep anything on the shelf in Michigan, whereas people are starting to become a little bit more discerning or craftier when it comes to like the Colorado and California markets?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll actually, in those down months, we'll actually start holding product and start buying on the open market and just acting as a broker at that point. And then we hold that flower and sell it for a higher price later on. So that's how we kind of get around that issue.
Okay.
So, yeah. Something we learned over the last 5 years.
So you guys are privately held and self-funded. Why did you guys make the conscious decision to not bring in investors and partners?
Well, I think just going to some of our past businesses, we've had partners in the cannabis business before, and not that you can't find a good partner, you absolutely can, but we've had just challenges doing that. And in Michigan and California, we had the opportunity to do it on our own, and it posed to be a much harder challenge doing that, but it also helped us move forward the way that we want to without having hesitation or just disagreements with another partner.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
Vinny?
I mean, yeah, it's few and far between that you find a good partner, and we tend to be pretty strong-headed in the way we like to run things. Just
we don't like to wait either, right? So if somebody wants to be slow, other people are going to take us over very quickly. So we need to be strategic and make decisions quickly.
Yeah, you don't want to just wait for the next quarterly board meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's a mentality that we've always had here too. Is it's like we'll try something and fail before you guys even set the meeting about it. So how does it like? Do you guys sort of divide and conquer, like, or what are your official roles in the company?
Vinny, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I head up sales and marketing in California. That's been like my focus over the last probably 3 years is selling the product. So I make all the relationships with our brands and white label partners, as well as our various co-packers that we use out here for jarring product for other people. And then Ben.
I do all of our cultivation in Michigan and in California as well. So I just oversee all those projects, make sure we're running the right genetics. Everybody has the right SOPs and programs and is executing everything the way we want them to.
Okay. Where did sort of before you guys founded High Life, what were your backgrounds? Vinny, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I was working a little bit in commercial development. At the time, we were building an amphitheater back in Detroit that my father owned. At that point, I was actually transitioning into the gaming entertainment industry. So I was getting licensed for a casino out in Colorado and was kind of given the choice between either a budding industry that had a bunch of potential or an industry that was already pretty much stagnating and you got what you saw. So, I mean, I chose cannabis for sure.
Okay. Ben?
I was actually in college trying to figure out what I would like to do. And I ended up just leaving that to get into the cannabis industry and start to figure out what I was going to do there.
From the cultivation standpoint, do your operations look the exact same in California? Like from an equipment standpoint, do you have the same equipment in California that you do in Michigan?
Yep, almost everything is identical. Just like Vinny's saying, there are minor differences based on the environments that we have there, but the goal is to make everything as identical as we can make it. And yeah, that's how we currently run everything.
Okay. And now you guys are running a company. How many employees are you guys at now?
We are at 150 employees in Michigan. And what are we at in California, Vinny?
We're at 75 here.
Oh, wow.
So 225 total.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we got more coming online in Michigan right now. So we fully expect to be at least 200 employees or over right now by the end of the year.
Have you guys run into any staffing issues? Just because I've heard from people that there are a lot of people that want to get into the business, but not technically, or not a lot of people that are technically proficient in the business.
Personally, I don't think you need to have people that are technically proficient in the business. Obviously, you need your supervisors and managers who are going to be, passing over all the SOPs and procedures to all the employees. But more than anything, I always say we need passionate people that want to build a career with us. Ultimately, for me, those are the best employees and end up being the real workhorses that we end up moving up into management roles.
Yeah, we want people with a blank slate that doesn't have too many bad habits that we can sort of mold into whatever.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing if you do have experience, but to me, it doesn't matter. Your passion and excitement for the industry is the ultimate thing.
So when you guys say maybe don't meet eye to eye on a company decision, what's the tiebreaker?
We call each other and yell at each other until we figure it out.
Oh, I have a very similar relationship with my brothers.
It's really not that hard. Obviously, we do have disagreements, but me and Vinny grew up together. We've had plenty of disagreements before we got into doing business together. So it's not hard to mediate it and figure out what we want to do. And ultimately, our goals are always aligned. So it's not hard to make good decisions together.
Yeah, it's been pretty easy 5 years working with each other. It's been amazing.
So you guys also have like a 50% stake in the retail side of the business, right? So are you guys pretty vertically integrated, particularly in Michigan?
Yes, in Michigan, we're vertically integrated. We're partnered with Joyology, correct, Ben?
Yeah, I would say we're medium. We're not as vertically integrated as we'd like to be, but that is our goal for this year, is to finish that piece of it. And just like we were talking about earlier, the main focus is to focus on what we have now. So the past 4 years have been making sure that our plants are working the way that we want them to. And now the next piece of that is rolling in the retail and being able to focus on that as much as we want to.
Yeah, we plan on having close to probably 30 dispensaries by the end of the year and close to 60 in 24 months.
Wow.
So we'd like to have a bunch.
How many do you have right now as part of that partnership?
Right now, I believe it's just 2 in Michigan. And then we did have 1 in California, but we're working on a deal right now with possible merger with another company that we pick up 20 or 25 dispensaries.
With the different products that are currently available in the industry, in your opinions, what are the most lucrative? Where's the most opportunity? Is it flower? Is it edibles? Is it, what do you guys think?
It's different for different markets. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I think personally for Michigan right now, it is edibles. They are just like flower, like Vinny was saying. We do see seasonal trends with that. We're just not seeing that with edibles right now. It just seems to be on the upward growth pattern every month. So for right now, I see edibles in Michigan is one of the best sellers and best things you can be doing.
Okay. What, Vinny, is same for you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, I mean, we're more flower focused ourselves. I mean, we've created a lot of good relationships over the years, so we have a good pipeline for getting flower out there. I mean, we probably crop 250 pounds every week and flip that same 250 pounds by the end of the week. So we've got a pretty good rhythm of selling flower out here, but we also do edibles as well. And there's our biggest margins there, obviously.
When did you guys get into the edible business, and what were those growing pains like, kind of going from more horticulture to almost food manufacturing?
I think our relationships with Kiva and Wana made that transition a lot less painful than it could have been. So yeah, being able to partner with those two high level brands gave us a huge insight on how to make edibles, how to get through testing, do everything properly, and we've been working with them for years now. So yeah, we've still gone through some growing pains and making sure all that stuff is correct, but being able to partner with big names like that has been able to move us along much quicker than we would have on our own.
Vinny?
No, I agree with what Ben said there.
Okay.
I mean, they've been great partners to us, and they've really helped push the boundaries. I mean, they were very good and instrumental at showing us their SOPs and how things are done. And I believe we did a great job at hiring a good core management team back in the kitchen for production. I mean, those guys get in at 4 a.m. and start mixing, and have the regular shift comes in, I believe, at 6 a.m. to start cutting and molding. So
yeah, and I mean, running 2 shifts right now in Michigan, we're able to produce about 80,000 10-pack units a day of just gummies, and those
Oh,
are
wow.
all hand mixed and handmade.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the trial and error process in terms of flavors? What was that like?
well, more in our own in-house brands. I
Yeah.
mean, we've had the luxury of playing with whatever flavors we like, our in-house High Life chocolate brands. So I mean, for St. Patrick's Day this year, we did a was it mint chocolate chip. Halloween was pumpkin spice latte. Christmas was white sugar
Yeah.
cookie.
And I think
Um,
since we have so many employees, it also makes it easy for us. Like Vinny, when you were in Michigan last time, we'll do like for new flavors that we want to do, we'll get the whole company involved, and we'll do like blind sampling programs and rate it and all that different kind of stuff to decide what flavors people really want and what we should be doing.
So, Vinny, I'll start with you. Of all the products that you have produced over the last 5 years, what are you personally the most proud of?
to be honest, I'm most proud of our flower. I mean, that's the most moving parts in this industry and the most room for failure. I mean, we started at a place where, I mean, we had to take in clone from clone farms and stuff like that. And we had to organically grow to get big enough to create our own plants that could actually sustainably fulfill our grow and actually bring us to a successful spot. So it's been a crazy ride to get there.
Is it the same for you, Ben?
Yeah, flower is definitely always going to be a huge point that I'm proud of. Another product that I'm very proud of, we're dabbling in more than dabbling. We're doing a whole solventless line now. So we're doing pens, cold cure live rosin, and just ice water hash as well. And we started doing that brand about a year and a half ago now, and it's very much taken off in Michigan. So I'm very happy that we dived into something that's not necessarily easy to do and more crafty. And I think it's awesome that we can get good products out there like that, especially in a market like Michigan where there's not a lot of good concentrates for people to buy right now.
What is the decision-making process like when you're looking to either upgrade or bring in new equipment? How do you evaluate it? And how do you ultimately choose to make that capital expenditure?
We have a core management team that meets twice weekly, and we talk about any problems that are happening and bring it up. I think 7 of us that probably decide everything within the company. So it's actually a pretty easy process to actually get things done. And we move very quickly.
Yeah, I think a big piece of it too is making sure that we can properly scale what we're doing with the equipment that we want to buy. And then also, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, that's probably one of our biggest things. I guess making sure that our margins are where we want them to be, so we can continue to keep upgrading the products and move it forward the way we want it to.
Okay. What are your predictions for the market? What do you guys think in terms of next states to possibly come online? And what are your predictions for federal legalization?
I think the most exciting states coming online are after Michigan are both Illinois and Ohio at this point. It kind of completes that legalization triangle from like the Midwest to the East Coast over there, which is kind of nice. I think federal legalization will probably be within the next 24 months.
Oh, wow.
That's just a guess at this point.
That's the best guess I've heard so far.
There's so many barriers that are in play there, including involving the FDA in terms of process validation and all these different things in our normal industries. So there's a lot of hurdles we have to get over before we get to actual federal legalization.
Did you guys face a lot of skepticism, and did you get a lot of pushback when you set up shop in Michigan?
Yeah, for sure. There's a heavy influence in the caregiver market there. Mm-hmm. And obviously those caregivers had a lot of pride in what they've done and what they were doing before. And so, yeah, there was absolutely pushback from people like that in Michigan. But I think the majority of people see what we're trying to do. And ultimately, big cannabis is coming to everywhere, whatever states open up. So it's my personal opinion that big companies like ourselves are needed to keep quality cannabis in the game and make sure that people on scale are able to get quality products. Ultimately, somebody's going to come in and do it. So it's our mission to make sure that we're keeping the highest standard and continuing to scale so people can ultimately have all these products all over Michigan and California.
Vinnie, what are your expectations for High Life going forward? Like, is the plan to continue to grow the business, or do you guys have, are you hoping for an eventual acquisition? Are you building for an acquisition?
We're open to the idea of an acquisition in the future, but we're not betting on it. So every day we keep expanding for now until we actually get to that point. I see over the next year here us expanding operations in both Michigan and California. In California right now, I'm building an additional 4 grow rooms with 90 lights in each room and a 30,000 square foot kitchen to upgrade our edible capacities here. And then we're doing the same in Michigan as well.
What has been your largest harvest? Like, what's your record high?
Oof. Like, are you talking pounds per light here?
Overall pounds.
Overall pounds. It all depends on what room you go to, but I think our highest average weight would be around 50 to 55 grams per square foot, which is usually about 3.5 pounds of light.
Yeah,
but it all depends on what cultivars you're growing and how well everything is going in the garden. Obviously, those are top conditions and everything's really performing.
Yeah, but off the top of my head, I would say probably on our biggest harvest here, 290 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, we're about to have some, we have some new greenhouses that are online in Michigan, and our first harvest is in April. And those rooms should be roughly 450 to 500 pounds per harvest. And we should have about 15 of them per year.
Do you do all of the trimming and then processing? Do you have the staff on hand, or do you hire that out?
No, we have the staff on hand. We roughly trim about 80%, hand trim about 80% of our flower. We do some machine trimming, but it's very, very dependent on what strains do well with it. Again, trying to make sure that we're keeping the quality of the cannabis together and that people are getting a good product. But yeah, we're fully staffed with our harvest crew, our production crew, and our trimming crew.
Yeah, California's a little more picky, so we kind of hand trim everything down here. We run 2 shifts, almost pretty much 24 hours. So I believe there's always around 35 trimmers on site at any given time.
How did the COVID-19 pandemic change your business?
For a minute, we actually had to go to 3 shifts just to keep spacing requirements in some of the rooms. This place was turning and burning 24 hours a day. And then we kept spacing requirements in our cultivation rooms. We have air showers at the entrances of all our buildings here. So they can clean themselves off in that way. And then they also sanitize with alcohol in between rooms. So we do the best we can.
Okay. Because what the industry was deemed essential in both Michigan and California, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Were there any other sort of like, economic impacts that you guys had experienced previous to that kind of helped you prepare for it?
Not really. And to be honest, it didn't hurt the cannabis business at all. It actually helped it. I mean,
True.
everyone was at home when they had some disposable income for a while. I mean, we're starting to see the effects of it now as people's bank accounts start drying up. But for about 6 or 7 months, I mean, it was booming.
I think the biggest impact that we saw was just the initial fear from everybody. At the time we were about 120 plant. We had about 120 employees in the plant, and pretty much overnight we went down to 70 employees. With just people not wanting to come to work, just fearful of COVID and being in an environment where they're around a lot of people. While we were kind of getting all that stuff figured out on how we keep the facility as safe as we can. So it definitely affected our operations for a minute, but we're back up and staffed, and obviously that fear with everybody else is over.
Okay. Could you tell me a little bit more about your white labeling business?
Yeah, I mean, I can't go into too much specifics with the brands that we work with, but we're a one-stop shop from anything from flower to jarring, packaging, and distribution. We do it all here for probably about 6 or 7 different brands. I would say it's probably the top 10% of quality in the market right now, our flower that's going in these jars. So, I mean, it's really cool to walk into a dispensary and I don't think people want to hear this, but seeing this same flower, same different strains of flower in about 5 or 10 different brands is kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
In one single three. So, I mean, it's really something new for us in the last couple of years here. But we've made a couple of good partnerships with co-packers that have giant capacity for jarring lines and stuff like that can do up to like 100 pounds a day. So we've been doing strategic partnerships with these types of people and offering one-stop shop services to dispensaries and whoever needs it.
Have you guys looked into moving into any additional states?
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Now we're always open to opportunities. Anybody that's listening, but no, right now we're planning on focusing on what we have. And just like we were saying in the beginning, we want to keep scaling and growing what we have properly. If new opportunities do come up, obviously we're going to jump on them. But right now we're focusing on California and Michigan.
Okay. Personally, how would you guys like to grow, in terms of like Ben, do you always want to stay on the cultivation side of the business?
Yeah, I think that's where I can really contribute a lot to the company. I think that's very important for us to not stay in the wheelhouses that we're good at, but just contribute where we can. And for me, that's in our cultivation department. Obviously, me and Vinnie are in every department. We're always in marketing, all of our edible brands, what's going on in the factory. But for me, my biggest contribution is cultivation, and I can see it continuing that way for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. How about you, Vinny? Do you want to stay in a sales and marketing role?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be in, like Ben said, pretty much. We're in every role in the company, but yeah, sales and marketing is kind of my forte. I'm good working with the customer relationships and branding, and also product development. So I think that's the lane I like to be in. But that being said, we do work in every department.
Yeah,
Well,
Vinny doesn't want me involved with him in sales.
Oh no.
I would love to have you.
Well, no, Vinny would like that, but he doesn't need that in his life. He doesn't need that frustration.
Well, I got to say it from a branding standpoint, just seeing some of your product line, it is top flight. I think you guys do a great job.
Thank you
very much. Appreciate it.
Is there anything else, anything else in particular that, you would want to make sure that the viewers or listeners, know about High Life Farms?
Just that we like to bring the best quality product to the market, and we look forward to creating new edible lines, flower lines, and then keeping consumers happy.
Ben, how about yourself?
Yeah, we want to be a long time brand that people can trust. So that's our goal as a company, and I think we're going to prove that to people over the next few years here.
Okay. As you talk about like brand loyalty and quality product stuff like that, do you guys go through any sort of facility certification, How does that work in particular? Or like, do you do like good manufacturing practice, stuff like that?
Yeah, we follow all that stuff. I mean, we have to work with our scales, weights, and measures. I mean, every different state agency is involved in this right now. It's just the federal agencies that are not involved. So, I mean, we still have all these people coming by and keeping eyes on us for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
and particularly in Michigan, we were the very first cultivation license out there and the first facility to be open. So we actually, in the beginning, we heavily worked with the regulators on helping them just navigate getting used to going into grows, how metric is going to work, how all these rules should be placed, and how actually a facility runs and what they should be used to seeing. So I think we've had a really good relationship with them and helping them build that up in Michigan.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you both very much for taking the time today. I really do appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it, man.
For Ben and Vinnie at High Life Farms, I'm David Manti, and this is the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast. Thank you for listening to the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast.